guys, welcome back to CJ's Kitchen. Today I have another episode of Beyond Pizza Food for Gamers. You may have recently caught my video about chicken wings 3 ways, and I did talk a little bit about the fact that even though title of this series is Beyond Pizza Food for Gamers, doesn't mean that you're never going to see pizza here. So today, that's what we've got, homemade pizza. So we have a guest this weekend staying with us again. We have Brandon. If you haven't seen my video with Brandon yet, it's Tasting French Treats. You can see that on my treats subscription box playlist, and I'll be sure to link it up here. Brandon's here, and I had intended to make him homemade pizza last weekend and when he was here, and we had a couple changes in schedule and we didn't end up making the pizza. So I thought, well, I have all the stuff for it, I'll make it for the gaming group. And then the gaming group canceled, so here we are, we're having the pizza today. It's gonna be lunch. We'll have the pizza and the wings. So the thing is, for a lot of gaming groups, it's really habit just to, pick up the phone and order pizza. And it makes sense because it's a really affordable way for the whole group to eat. But for many of us, aren't as into that anymore, or in my case, I don't have delivery available. So it's really nice once in a while to have pizza. I love homemade pizza. I've been making it my whole life. We literally used to make it in my family. It was a big family event for everybody to have a job and help make the pizza. So I think it's a great way to have pizza and you know what's going on. Not only that, I have to say that my husband and I prefer the sauce that I make to any sauce we've had anywhere. So the first step would be making your pizza dough, and how I like to do it is put all of my ingredients in my bread machine and set it to the dough setting, and that means that I can set it and forget it and walk away and go do other things. If it's a gaming day, I usually have some housework that has to be done before everybody comes over. Sometimes I have character sheet updating to do, or there's always something else that I need to be doing. So it's really great. I don't have to babysit the dough. I don't have to spend a lot of time making it, and while I love to knead dough and do all of that, I find it really therapeutic. It's just not always the best thing for time. So this is one way to do it. Another way, of course, is to pick up the dough at your local pizzeria or your local grocery store. Many places are carrying dough now. So I've already got the dough going in my bread machine. So let's talk about how that happens. You always want to start with following your manufacturer's directions. And for my bread machine, you put all your wet ingredients in first and you top it with your dry ingredients, including the yeast. So one deviation I always make is that I've started to make, because I find that everything comes out better when I do it this way, is I go ahead and I put my water or whatever the liquid is in, and I add the yeast to it, and I let the yeast sit for 5 to 10 minutes. I give it time to activate. So it should activate, it should get bubbly, it dissolves. I just find that the texture of the breads is coming out a lot better since I started making this one deviation. At that point, if there's any other liquid to go in, you want to add that and then add the rest of your dry ingredients. Otherwise, follow your manufacturer's directions depending on how your bread machine works if you have one. Now, if you want to do this handmade or you want to use your mixer to do that, a KitchenAid mixer with a dough hook would be ideal, or any mixer that has a dough hook is what you're going to want. You're still going to want to start with warm water, and what I always tell people is the water should be about the same temperature as a baby bottle if you're preparing a baby bottle. So you're going to still dissolve your yeast first, and then you're just going to add the rest of your ingredients. So for this recipe, it is 1.25 cups of water, a packet of yeast, or in my case, I buy my yeast in a jar, and so that's 2.25 teaspoons is the equivalent of a packet. Again, walk away, let it sit. You don't even have to stir it, just walk away, let it bloom. If you feel like it needs to be stirred after that point, you can do that. So let it do that, then add your oil, which was 1/4 cup of oil. I used olive oil, but you can use canola oil or vegetable oil or whatever you like. I just really like the olive oil flavor in there. To make the sauce, I start with canned tomato paste. I have tried quite a few different variations. I always come back to the paste. I love the richer, more concentrated flavor, and so does my husband. I do find these days that I like to cook my sauce. You don't have to do that step. If you use all dried ingredients, all dried herbs, you know, garlic powder, basil, oregano, plus your salt and sugar, you can actually just all mix those into the paste and add water. It will be a can of water equal to the size of the can of paste that you use. A really small can, the really small skinny can, which I don't know how many ounces it is offhand, will make quite a few easy pizzas if you're doing the pocket pizzas or the flatbread pizzas that I've posted before. And the larger can, I believe it's 15-ounce can, is perfect for 2 pizzas. Sorry, that's Joy running around this morning, my cat. Anyway, so whichever size can you use, you're going to use an equal amount of water. And it took me a long time to dial that in. I would add water, add water, add water, and I finally realized that I was using equal parts. It makes it much simpler. So to get the sauce started, if you are going to cook it, you're going to slice or chop some garlic, and that's your preference. And I do it both ways. I interchange back and forth. So for this recipe today, I did chop the garlic. You're going to preheat a little bit of olive oil in a pan, in a saucepan, and don't let it get too hot. You want it at medium to medium-low temperature because you don't want to burn that garlic. If it gets too browned, it will give a bitter flavor to your sauce. So throw your garlic in, let it cook for just a few seconds, maybe 30 seconds to a minute. Just till it gets fragrant, and just really watch it. Don't let it, if it starts to turn a little bit brown, it's done. At that point, add your tomato paste, your water, and all the rest of your ingredients. So for this, I used oregano and basil. I also used a small amount of sugar, maybe a 1/4 teaspoon, and a 1/4 to a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, just depending on your taste. I prefer to go easy on the salt, just a pinch here or there, taste it, and if I feel like it still needs a little bit of salt, that's great. But salt is definitely not a predominant flavor in your pizza sauce. You just want to kind of balance out the flavors a little bit. The sugar is there to help balance out the acidity. So, and I find that the salt just kind of helps deepen the flavor. So you're going to cook it, let it come to a really gentle boil just when it starts to bubble, and then turn it down to a simmer all the way down. Turn your burner as low as it'll go, and let it just simmer for 10 to 15 minutes is plenty. And then just turn it off and let it sit. It's not going to go bad. You can just leave it sitting until your dough is done. It's not going to hurt it a bit. And having it at room temperature or slightly warm will actually make it easier to distribute on your pizza when you roll out your crust. So once your pizza dough is finished and it's risen, you're just going to divide it in half for 2 pizzas that are about 12-inch size pizzas. You can, of course, also divide it down and make lots of small pizzas. You can do, you know, whatever you like. I always make at least 2 pizzas from this. So, and then you just, you know, roll them out nice and thin to the size of your pizza pan. I like to oil my pan just a little bit. I have a mister that I use, and I just spray a little bit of olive oil on there. It just helps keep it loose. You can also put, you could leave it dry and put just a little cornmeal or something underneath it, or semolina, and that works fine too. You just want something to keep it loose. But I like the olive oil because I feel like it helps crisp up that crust just a little bit more, which is how I like it. So roll it out and sauce it, and then top it with your favorite toppings. You're going to put it in a 425 oven, and you're going to bake it for anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes. It's very rare that it takes any longer than that, but it'll depend on your oven, so adjust accordingly. Once you pull it out of the oven, it's a good idea to let it sit for 2 or 3 minutes to just help the cheese set up before you slice it. That will make it a little easier to separate the pieces when you go to serve them. And then you're good to go. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you'll try these recipes. If you do, let me know how they turn out in the comments below. As always, if you like this video, don't forget to give it the thumbs up so that I know and can make more videos of this type. And don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends. And until next time when I see you here in my kitchen, ciao. All right, so Brandon's gonna try out the wings and the pizza.
Cool.
The pizza. A little bit of cheese.
Now, what exactly are you going for other than it tastes awesome? Crust is awesome.